You know, we all know someone like this, that person who's a quiet observer who listens way more than they talk. But have you ever stopped to think what's really going on in their head? Well, today we're going to dive into the incredible inner world of these private thinkers and figure out why they often keep those thoughts locked away.
I mean, have you ever been there? You're in a meeting, maybe a big family dinner, the conversation's flying around, and one person is just silent. It's so easy for our minds to jump to conclusions, right? We think, oh, they must be bored, or maybe they're upset. But what if it's something else entirely? What if something way deeper is happening? Let's find out.
Okay, so to really get what's happening on the inside, we have to start with what we can all see on the outside, and that's the quiet observer.
Right, so this is that person. They're not tuned out, not at all. In fact, they're probably the most tuned-in person in the room. They're absorbing everything, processing all the information, looking at it from every angle. They only speak up when they're sure they have something genuinely valuable to add, and a lot of the time that means choosing silence over just making noise.
But here's the thing, and this is super important. That silence isn't empty space. Not even close. It's actually packed with meaning. So let's pull back the curtain and see what's really going on under that calm exterior. You see, this totally flips our usual assumptions upside down. Their silence isn't a sign that there's nothing going on. It's usually the exact opposite. It's a sign of a mind that is absolutely buzzing with activity, processing, connecting the dots, analyzing everything. And this gets to a really fundamental difference in how people's brains are wired. Some of us, well, we speak to think. We have to talk things out to figure out what we actually believe. But private thinkers, they do the reverse. They think before they speak. All that heavy lifting, the debating, the refining, the questioning, it all happens inside their heads before a single word comes out.
So let's totally reframe how we see their silence, okay? It's not some wall they put up. It's not them avoiding the conversation. No, it's an active tool. Think of it like their personal mental workshop, where they're busy building, testing, and polishing their ideas until they're perfect before they ever open the doors to the public.
Okay, so if silence is their workshop, why build this elaborate inner world to begin with? What's the point? Let's get into the real reasons behind all this privacy.
Well, it turns out this inner world is built on a few really solid pillars. First, the idea that thoughts are just deeply personal. That leads to needing time for processing. And that processing helps them keep their emotional balance and set up strong personal boundaries. Let's take a closer look at each one.
See, for a private thinker, an idea isn't just some random thought that pops up. It's almost a part of them. So this isn't about being secretive for the sake of it. It's about treating an idea like a seed, giving it the time and space it needs to actually grow and mature before you show it to anyone. And that, of course, brings us to the emotional piece of the puzzle. Think about it. Every single time you share an idea, you're making yourself vulnerable, right? You're opening yourself up to being misunderstood, judged, or just dismissed. And if you've spent a ton of time carefully crafting that thought, having it brushed aside can really sting. So protecting that inner world, it's really a form of self-care. It's how they keep their emotional balance. And it also means that when they finally decide to share something with you, it's a huge deal. It's a massive act of trust. They're literally inviting you into a very personal, very protected space.
Here's a great way to think about it. Your mind is your home. I mean, you don't just open your front door and let any random stranger walk in, do you? Of course not. And it's the exact same principle. A private thinker is just very careful about who they give a key to. It's all about feeling safe and being in control.
Okay, so now that we get the why behind it, let's flip this whole thing on its head again. What if this tendency to be private isn't a weakness? What if it's actually a massive strength? This is where we need to shift our perspective. What we might label as distant is actually profound thoughtfulness. What we might see as cold is really just them being protective. And what looks like an empty silence is, in reality, a very powerful state of awareness. And this is the big payoff for all that quiet internal work. Because they take so much time to think things through, the ideas they finally share are often incredibly thoughtful, nuanced, and just brilliant. It's all about quality over quantity. They're waiting for that perfect moment or the perfect person to share with, so their words have the biggest impact. So, next time you're with someone who's quiet, maybe don't rush to fill that silence. Try to see it for what it is, a sign of real strength and awareness. And that kind of leaves us with one final thought, doesn't it? In a world that is just so noisy and never stops talking, just imagine the amazing ideas we might finally get to hear if we all learn to appreciate the power of silence a little more.